Welcome back to the channel. My name is Douglas, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about connecting the maudio Oxygen Pro Mini to an external keyboard or synthesizer. Now, you may have gotten this controller, or you may be getting this controller with the intent to control another keyboard rather than connecting it to the computer to use to control the DAW or something like that. So a big use case for a controller is to give you an extra set of keys on top of the keys you already have on the synthesizer or keyboard. The Nord Stage 3 is a good example for live use where you may have a certain sound on panel A that you're playing on the Nord Stage 3, and then another sound on panel B that you're controlling with the Oxygen Pro Mini, have the Mini set with chord mode and hold, and so you're basically just hitting notes to play chords of maybe a pad or a synth sound while you're playing piano on the Nord Stage 3. So it gives you another control surface. In the use case for today's video, I actually have the Synth Pro that I'm controlling with the Oxygen Pro Mini. And I'll talk through what my setup is like, what you're going to need for cables and adapters, and then talk a little bit about how to edit the controls within the Oxygen Pro Mini to control maybe parameters inside your external synth or keyboard. So let's get started here and talk about connection. So on the Oxygen Pro Mini, there's this output, this MIDI out, and it's actually an 1/8 inch MIDI out. And so what you're going to need is this 1/8 inch to 5-pin MIDI adapter. Now, I got a couple of these with the MPC Studio, so it worked out perfectly, but you can find these if you just search the web for an 1/8 inch to MIDI 5-pin, and this is going to plug right into your traditional 5-pin MIDI cable. So the Synth Pro is traditional 5-pin MIDI. So in my case, I need a 5-pin MIDI to 5-pin MIDI, and then I need this little adapter that is the 1/8 inch to 5-pin MIDI converter. So I'm going to hook this right into my MIDI cable, and then this is going to plug into the back of the Oxygen Pro Mini in the MIDI out. Now let's talk about MIDI in and MIDI out here for a second. So what we're doing here is essentially we're taking the notes we're playing and the controls we're tweaking on the MIDI, and we're sending those notes out, and then we're going to want to bring them in to the Synth Pro. So the other end of this cable, the orange end, I have plugged into the MIDI in on the Synth Pro. So we're going out of the Oxygen Pro Mini in to the Synth Pro. Now, while we have a MIDI out on the Synth Pro, we don't have a MIDI in on the Oxygen Pro Mini. And really, that's because the Oxygen Pro Mini doesn't have any sounds on it or anything that can be controlled with an external source. So this is the Synth Pro as it stands. And then we can play that same thing here on the Oxygen Pro Mini. So let me just unplug this and show you without MIDI plugged in the sounds that we're getting. Absolutely nothing. So let's go ahead and plug this back in. So now we've got the Synth Pro being controlled by the Oxygen Pro Mini. And we can use some of the things like the pitch bend, and we can use the maudio. We can use the octave up and down. So we're able to use just some of the basic controls, pitch, mod, octave up and down, without having to touch anything on the Synth Pro. We're controlling it all from the Oxygen Pro Mini. Now you may be wondering, okay, we've got 4 faders, 4 knobs, we've got some functions here like the arpeggiator. So let's turn the arpeggiator on. So we can use the functionality within the Oxygen Pro Mini with the sounds on the Synth Pro, because basically we're taking the notes and the things that are being controlled here, sending them out into the Synth Pro, which is where we have the audio outs being recorded for this video. So all of the audio and the sounds are coming from the Synth Pro, and we're just controlling them with the Oxygen Pro Mini. So we can turn chord mode on. Pretty cool. So we can use the functions on the Oxygen Pro Mini to control the sounds on the Uno Synth Pro very easily with just this one cable. Now let's check out one more thing. So on the Oxygen Pro, we have 4 faders and 4 knobs. Now on the Uno Synth Pro, we have a lot of different controls. Unfortunately, with the Uno Synth Pro, because it's such a new synthesizer, there's not a MIDI map out for which CC messages are assigned to each of these different controls. So we'd have to do a little guesswork in the case of this controller. There are some things we could do to cheat this. So I could plug the Uno Synth Pro into the computer and I could pull up just any virtual instrument and use the learn function, twist a knob, and watch what CC message is tracked on the learn. Then I could come in here and I could set the knob here to the same MIDI CC message, and that would essentially then be able to control that parameter. If you're using a synthesizer or a keyboard that's been out for a while, there's a really good chance that there's already a map out there on Google. So just search for your keyboard and then MIDI CC messages, and chances are you're going to be able to come up with a list of the different CC messages assigned to the different controls on your keyboard or synthesizer. Then what we can do is we can come into the Oxygen Pro Mini, hold Shift, and then tap on the DAW preset button, and that's going to take you into the edit mode for the controls. We're going to edit a preset here, so we're going to push down on the encoder, and then we're going to twist this first knob here. So now we have the ability to change the different parameters for this knob very easily, and you'll notice the second setting in is the CC message assigned to this knob. So right now it's 37. To change that, we could press down on the encoder, and then we could just scroll and select the CC message that we wanted. So the modulation wheel in the case of the Uno Synth Pro is on CC1. So if I select this and then I leave the edit menu, now I can play this note. And I'm doing the same thing as using the modulation wheel, but I've assigned that to the first knob here on the Oxygen Pro Mini. So you get the idea. You can go in, edit, go down, and then you can just twist any parameter, knob 2, 3, 4. You can get to additional ones by going to here, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then again, you can scroll over. You can see what is currently assigned to knob 8 is CC 76. We could press down and we could change that by twisting the encoder, press down again, and then back to save it. And there you go. You're able to customize the controls. Same thing applies to the faders. So again, could go into edit mode, and then I just move one of the sliders. I could go back a bank and grab slider 1, go over and set my CC message assigned to fader 1. So very quickly within the controller, Shift, edit, and then just tweak the control that you want to modify that CC message very quickly, and then you're able to customize the Oxygen Pro Mini to control the parameters and the controls on your external keyboard or synthesizer. So there you go, a quick rundown on controlling an external keyboard synthesizer with the Oxygen Pro Mini rather than controlling a virtual instrument on your computer. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you've got any questions, throw those down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching, stay inspired, and keep making that music.